Have you ever wondered what is truly meant by holiness in the eyes of the divine? It's a concept that has been pondered upon by saints and scholars alike across time and space. And one of the most intriguing explorations of this concept can be found in an ancient text, revered by millions across the world, the book of Leviticus, the third book of the Bible and the Torah. Today we focus our attention on chapter 22 of Leviticus, a chapter that is rich in symbolism and holds profound messages for us all. It's a text that invites us to contemplate the essence of sanctity, the importance of purity, and the sacred nature of offerings to the divine. But how do these ancient words resonate with our lives today? How can they guide us in our quest for a deeper understanding of spirituality? Join us as we delve into Leviticus chapter 22 to uncover its profound message. We begin our journey with verses 1 to 5, where God speaks to Moses. These opening verses are a profound exchange between the divine and the mortal. In these passages, God delivers instructions to Moses about the sanctity of priests. The instructions are clear and unequivocal. The priests, as God's chosen servants, must uphold an exceptional level of purity in their personal and professional lives. Imagine the burden of such responsibility, the weight of expectation. The role of the priest is not merely a job, but a divine calling, a life dedicated to serving God and His people. This is no ordinary task. It requires an extraordinary level of dedication, commitment, and purity. God's instructions to Moses are explicit. The priests must not defile themselves by coming into contact with a dead body except for their closest relatives. They must also not shave their heads, trim their beards, or cut their bodies. These actions, seemingly mundane to us, were considered acts of defilement in those times. But why such rigidity? Why such high standards? The answer lies in the divine purpose of the priests. They are the conduits between God and His people. They are the vessels through which blessings flow, the mediators of divine grace. Their sanctity is paramount because they represent God on earth. Any act of impurity, any defilement, disrupts this divine flow, marring the sanctity of the holy. But there's more. These verses also highlight the consequences of defilement. If a priest becomes defiled, he is barred from partaking in the holy food until he is clean again. Here we see a clear correlation between purity and divine communion. Defilement leads to isolation, while purity fosters connection. These verses set the stage for the high standards expected of those who serve God. They underscore the importance of purity in our spiritual journey. They remind us that serving God requires more than mere lip service. It calls for a sincere heart, a clean spirit, and a life lived in accordance with His divine laws. It's a high calling, a noble pursuit, and a life of profound significance. Moving on to verses 6 to 14, we see the theme of purity continue. These verses delve deeper into the rules regarding who can partake in the sacred offerings. It is not merely the priests who are in focus here, but their households and guests as well. This, in essence, expands the realm of holiness beyond the temple and into the domestic sphere. Verse 6 speaks of the condition of uncleanness and how it can be contracted through contact with things that are considered impure. It underscores the significance of maintaining physical cleanliness as a way to uphold spiritual purity. Then we come to verses 7 to 8, which elaborate on the priest's role and their unique relationship with the sacred offerings. It is stated that once a priest has bathed and the sun has set, he is clean and may eat of the sacred offerings, for it is his food. A note of caution, though, is issued against eating anything that has died naturally or been killed by beasts, as this defiles the priest. In verses 9 to 10, the scope of those who can partake in the sacred offerings is expanded. Not just the priests, but anyone who lives with a priest or is bought with his money may eat of them. However, a hired servant or a guest may not partake in the meal. Verses 11 to 13 further clarify the rules. If a priest's daughter marries a layman, she may no longer eat of the sacred offerings. However, if she is widowed or divorced and has no children, she may return to her father's house and partake in the offerings, just as in her youth. Finally, verses 14 caution against an outsider eating the sacred offering by mistake. If this happens, they are to pay the priest for the sacrilege plus 1/5 as a penalty. These verses remind us that holiness is not a solitary journey but a community endeavor. Verses 15 to 25 present us with more stringent guidelines. In this segment of Leviticus chapter 22, the focus shifts to the offerings brought to the Lord. The verses underline the importance of the quality of these offerings and establish a set of criteria that the Israelites were expected to follow. The offerings were not merely ceremonial, they carried deep symbolic significance. They were the medium through which the Israelites expressed their devotion and gratitude to God. Therefore, it was crucial that these offerings were of the highest quality, free from any blemish or defect. This is emphasized in verse 20, which states, "Whatever has a defect you shall not offer, for it shall not be acceptable on your behalf." The offerings were to be perfect, a reflection of the perfection of God Himself. They were to be free from any blemish or defect, just as God is without blemish or defect. This requirement was not arbitrary. It was intended to instill in the Israelites a deep sense of reverence and respect for God. By demanding the best from them, God was teaching them to value and honor Him above all else. He was teaching them to view their relationship with Him as something precious, something worth giving their best for. Yet, this wasn't just about the offerings themselves, it was also about the attitude of the person bringing the offering. The offerings were to be brought willingly and with a joyful heart. God didn't just want their offerings, He wanted their hearts, their love, their devotion. And so these verses serve as a reminder. They remind us that our relationship with God should be our top priority. They remind us that our offerings to Him, whether they be our time, our talents, or our resources, should be our best. They remind us that God deserves nothing less than our very best. These verses reinforce the message that offerings to the divine should reflect our best. They encourage us to strive for excellence in all we do, especially in our relationship with God. They challenge us to give God the very best of ourselves out of love and reverence for Him, because, after all, He gave us His very best, Jesus Christ Himself. Finally, verses 26 to 33 conclude the chapter with a powerful message. In these verses, we find further instructions about offerings, underscoring the significance of obedience. Let us delve deeper into these passages. The commandment of not slaughtering a mother and her young on the same day is one that resonates deeply. This decree, although it seems simple, carries profound symbolism. The separation of the mother and its young underscores the value of life, emphasizing the need for compassion and respect toward all living creatures. It also serves as a reminder of the importance of balance and natural order, principles that are fundamental to the teachings of Leviticus. Moving on, we encounter the instructions regarding Thanksgiving offerings. The importance of these offerings cannot be overstated. They are not merely ritualistic practices, but are expressions of gratitude. They serve as a reminder to always acknowledge the blessings in our lives, to express our thanksgiving and to share our abundance with others. It's interesting to note that the Thanksgiving offerings must be consumed on the same day they are offered. This stipulation emphasizes the importance of living in the present and fully appreciating the blessings we receive in the here and now. As we reach the end of this chapter, the focus returns to obedience. The Israelites are reminded that they were brought out of Egypt by God to be His people. This is a reminder not just of their past, but of their purpose. Obedience is not about subservience, but about understanding one's role and purpose within a larger framework. These verses, therefore, are not just about rules and regulations. They speak to the heart of what it means to be part of a community, to respect life, to live in the present, and to be grateful. These verses culminate in a strong reminder about the importance of obedience and gratitude. They echo the call to live our lives with purpose, respect, and a deep sense of appreciation for the blessings we receive. As we conclude our exploration of Leviticus chapter 22, let's take a moment to reflect on the key insights we've gleaned. This chapter, a powerful testament to the values of holiness and purity, calls us to maintain both physical and spiritual cleanliness. The narrative underscores the importance of obedience, emphasizing the need to follow stipulated rules and rituals. It serves as a reminder that compliance isn't just about meeting obligations, but also a way of expressing reverence and respect for the divine. This chapter also brings to light the significance of gratitude. By offering the best of what we have, we demonstrate our appreciation for divine blessings and reflect our commitment to honor the sacred. In a modern context, these themes remind us to strive for moral and spiritual integrity, to value respect and reverence, and to not overlook the power of gratitude. Leviticus chapter 22, therefore, serves as a timeless reminder of the values we should hold dear in our quest for a fulfilling spiritual life. Are you ready for the next chapter? Just click here to go straight to it.